realistically, I should start off with my definition of what a veteran is. Now, y'all may have a different definition of what a veteran is. Well, I didn't get mine from Merriam-Webster. She seems like a great lady, I guess, wrote a good book full of definitions, but no, I get my definition of what a veteran is from a friend of mine who passed away in the past couple years, was a Marine who fought in Vietnam. And yes, eventually Agent Orange and Jim Beam killed him finally. But he will always remain in our hearts. He told me the first time I was back to my hometown after being wounded, when they asked all veterans to come up on stage to be recognized, and I was still technically on active duty, so I said, "Oh no, you guys are veterans, I'm still on active duty." He said, "Son, do you not know what you're talking about? Do you know what a veteran is? A veteran is anyone, man, woman, boy, girl, who at some point in their life took out their checkbook and wrote a blank check for up to and including your life. You have done that, now get your butt up here." Okay, he didn't say butt, but there are ladies present, children. There have been two entities in the world that have offered to lay down their lives for us. The U.S. veteran for your freedoms and Jesus for your souls. Now, I'm not saying you should pray to any of us other than to God through Jesus, just that they're the only people that have offered to lay down their lives for you. Another difficult aspect I came across when doing this today, and was just how do you put into words the gratitude, love, and respect for all those that have served our country. And I'm not bagging on ASU for a bad education. I thought I got a great education there. But realistically, the words, I mean, there's no Lee Greenwood, no Toby Keith song that you can play over and over again that expresses it. So how can I stand here before you representing all veterans and say thank you to the guy who pulled my grandpa out of a tank during World War II when it was blown out from underneath him? How can I come up with the words for my brother, not through my parents' blood, but through our mutual blood, who, seeing my lifeless body laying on the ground in a Iraqi hellhole, I can best describe as that place in the Old Testament so bad Jonah ran away from God. That seeing me laying on the ground, wounded himself, shot through both hands and forearms, held his rifle at his side, took a knee over top of me, and returned fire with his finger on one hand. Is the English language that elegant that you can come up with a word? I can't. I can try, but the best bet I have is to share the story of him with you, because that man, Mike Barrera, is my brother. He may have never met my mother, but he is my brother. You see, folks, you might go to college, join a sorority or fraternity, and they might get you home after a rough night partying, probably after they post pictures of you on Facebook about it. But my brothers stormed the gates of hell with me, and they made sure not only and answered my prayers, not only that I not be taken alive, but they fought to ensure that I would live, that my wife would have a husband come home to her, and I'd be able to have our daughters. So that's what's so difficult about writing a Veterans Day speech. Or I can tell you about another brother of mine who his wife sent me my dog tags back, that for 8 years of his life after my injuries, he carried my dog tags in his gear with him through multiple deployments and finally, after getting ready to PCS from Fort Bragg after passing the Special Forces qualification course, his wife said, "Oh, we should get these back to Landis." And she messaged me on Facebook and asked for my address and finally sent them back to me. These dog tags that still have the blood on them that we shed 19 November 2005. You might ask me what qualifies me to represent all veterans here today. Really, I'm not. At best, I've seen a lot of the brave actions they have done and that they have told me. Realistically, what I did is nothing more than most of y'all have done. I know there's a good old boy here in the crowd that probably jumped into a fight or two that his friends were in. Right? Your friends are getting beat up, you're going to jump into a fight? Yeah, you there, senior from TLCA, you probably did it. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell the principal. But does that qualify me when I know my brothers were in for the fight of their life, that I stand back and, well, I'll use the excuse I often used as a child, but Mom, I didn't do nothing. Because really, and the old saying goes, evil succeeds in this world when good men stand back and do nothing. So what did I do? Little more than nothing. I didn't do nothing. When my brothers were fighting and dying in that house, I didn't let them die alone. That's all I did. But you got shot, Mr. Landis. Yeah, I got shot. It doesn't take a lot to get shot. Don't believe me? Ask some kids in Chicago. Dozens of them are doing it every weekend. The only thing was I was in the right place at the wrong time, I guess. Now, of course, my wife may beg to differ, and she may tell you, but that's not what's on your award citations. Semantics. What I can do here today is honor my brothers and sisters in arms by reminding you of their service and sacrifice. You see, I don't come here today for my own accolades or recognition. I'm not here so one of y'all will recognize me at Denny's and pay for my steak and eggs, although whoever keeps doing that is greatly appreciated. And I gotta admit, I do get teared up and cry at things like this just because of as much as they mean to me. I'm told it's all right because real men cry. If you don't believe me, you have to take my word. I saw my buddy Mike Barrera do it, and I read it in the Bible where it said Jesus wept. So it's all right to cry a little bit. And Miss Martha's about to make me cry a little. No, I stand here today not for my own recognition, and I'm very grateful and very blessed because I came home at a time, the wars I fought, we were fighting terrorism. We saw our country attacked on September 11th. No, I come back for all those who may not have been thanked. Like a late professor of mine from Howard College who, up until about a year and a half before he passed away, and had the misfortune of having a former rifle squad leader with a brain injury in his class, was never thanked for his service and welcomed home. He came back from Vietnam in 1968. I was at Howard College in 2010 in his class. It's unacceptable. No, and it's not just for Professor Locks, from Howard College. It's for the medic from Chicago, Illinois, who can't sleep at night. He's haunted by the nightmares that when 14 of us lay bleeding and dying in that house in Mosul, Iraq, he can't sleep at night because he feels he should have done more. And I'm here in San Angelo, Texas. Y'all take great care of us. People like Pastor Walt Landis, who took a wounded veteran from his church out hunting, and like Terry Johnson, the Clears, have showered me with gifts and thanks. All of you who come out for the Veterans Day parades and all the patriotic parades throughout the year, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I ask you to continue on honoring the service and sacrifice of our veterans. And I realize there's probably more questions than answers in my talk today. You might ask, but what can I do to honor the service and sacrifice of a veteran? Start with what I do when I meet someone that I find out's a Vietnam veteran, because they weren't welcomed home. Far worse than not welcomed home. They came home from fighting war, were spit on, and far, far worse. Many of whom have never heard the words, "Thank you for your service and welcome home." Is that too much to ask? I mean, our words cannot equal their service and sacrifice of fighting alongside, seeing their friends die. You can do what my daughter did last night. My daughter Sophia, who's 7 years old, not going to bed and while her daddy's trying to watch the presidential debate. She stood there, and when they played the national anthem, she put her little hand over her heart. She's like, "No, I can pledge allegiance." And not only that, she started yelling at her sister when she wasn't standing there. So, folks, it doesn't have to be a grandiose gesture. I'm not saying you have to pay for the steak and eggs at Denny's or set up hunts like Terry Johnson, who started Show of Support, just wanting to take a couple vets hunting and giving us deer rifles and all that. But do something. Because really, didn't do nothing most of the times isn't good enough. Do something. Thank a veteran. And to close out, I guess most of y'all are standing anyway. Can all of our veterans that can stand, please stand? Or if you no longer have the ability to stand, can you raise your hand to be recognized? And I believe all y'all can join in with me in saying, thank you for your service. Thank you and welcome home. Whether you served in time of war, whether you wrote the intel report that got bin Laden, whether you're the Spanish linguist that intercepted the report and stopped a load of Mexican heroin from coming to our shores and getting someone's child hooked on that, we thank you.